Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Mark My Words. Today, I have what I would probably consider a Renaissance man, even though he may disagree with that. But he does a plethora of things. He is a production company owner at Hollywood North Productionz, spelled with a Z at the end to be modern, which I love. He is a professional actor and producer at Ontario Creates. You may have seen him in Letterkenny, which is a show that I've been told is great. Unfortunately, I've not gotten around to watching it, but if Michelle Branch says it's good, then I have to watch it. He's also been in Goliath's Gone, Resident Evil, Flee the Light, and he is a production minor by day. He studied mechanical engineering and industrial engineering, which sounds way over my head, and it's something I would not touch, but I'm really interested in learning more about it. And I didn't even ask you to tell me the correct pronunciation of your last name, but I'm going to take a shot. This is Darren Marynuk. Did I get it?
Perfect. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's good.
Welcome, Darren Marynuk. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on your show. It's been we're getting good weather up here finally, so it's getting a little bit better to be outside and doing some more filming outside.
Yeah, the weather here in the DC area is absolutely perfect today. Couldn't have asked for a better day. So I'm glad we're finally behind all the snowstorms here, which I'm sure with you being up there, you and you're just like whatever about snow, I'm sure.
Oh, we get enough of it here, so come April, May, we're pretty excited people around here. You could start seeing more people out there walking their dogs, getting stuff done, washing their cars and stuff like that. Even myself today, I was able to get out and wash my car or wash my truck, and just it's good weather. It gets you, puts a smile on your face, and it's like a whole different world up here. You go from minus 30 to plus 20 in a matter of a couple weeks, right? So we take it as we can here.
Yeah, I feel like here everybody gets a little scared when you get a little bit of ice, and for good reason. There's so many people driving around, you never know what's going to happen out there. But it's good to have you on the show today. I've really been looking forward to this conversation. I know there's a lot of commonalities between us since you're in the production field these days and doing that on the side in addition to your production minor work. And I obviously have been in the broadcast field for a long time. I know we had a great discussion about all that a few weeks ago, and really looking forward to hearing more about that. But just to start off with, so I called you a Renaissance man at the beginning of the show, and I feel like you're touching every like area of life almost. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but this is kind of like a career oriented podcast, and I take a very deep interest in career transitions and just what sparks the passion for people. And the first thing I want to ask is what sparked the passion for industrial engineering? How do you get into that field?
Well, it was about 11 years from now. I graduated. I'm just looking at my diploma here. 2011. I graduated as a 2-year mechanical engineering technician, industrial maintenance program is what it's called. It's basically the millwright program. So for people that have never heard of being a millwright, millwright's basically a jack of all trades, master of none. the mechanical, the industrial world, I guess you could say, from pumps to motors to turbines, conveyors, and anything to do with the industrial world. With Sudbury being one of the nickel capital, which it is the nickel capital of the world. It's a trade that I wanted to get into, which opens up the door for a lot of opportunities in any field. We have two of the biggest leading mining companies in the world, Vale, and I work for Glencore, which is one of the biggest mods commodity traders in the world. So I've been in this industry since I was about 16, 17 years old. So I'm over 20 years of experience working in and out of the mining companies around town. So when I had the opportunity to go back to school through the programs that they have here for helping you pay for your schooling and stuff, a friend of mine and myself, we ended up taking the millwright program, which was an intense program over 2 years with a possibility of a 4-year apprenticeship. I jumped on it right away. We took the program together, and that really opened up the doors to the career that I end up in right now. I'm actually working at Glencore as a production operator. Well, they call it a production operator, but a production miner, I guess you could say. I'm a surface worker. I work at a smelter here, which we basically produce nickel, gold, silver, platinum, anything that comes out of the ground, basically. So to get into that career, I had to have some schooling background and have some experience, which I did. And it ended up kind of catapulted me into the career that I'm in now. I've been there since 2012. So I'm coming up to my 9th year of seniority there, which is pretty good. I got about 21 years left till retirement. So it's a career that I wanted to get into from day one. It pays well. It's got good benefits, good everything, dental, medical, anything that you could ask for, right? So it was something that when I wanted to get into a career, I wanted to have something that I could have an end game to, right? Getting a retirement package that they offer come down the line was one of my biggest things, right? I didn't want to get into a career that didn't really have an end game. I'm going to eventually retire, hopefully about 58, 60 years old. So that's kind of my goal, I guess you could say, with getting into this. I could kind of see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, right? I'd like to retire somewhat young where I could maybe possibly get into another career field or use this experience and career to maybe work as a safety supervisor for one of the companies down the line. It's kind of one of those things that you never know where it's going to take you, right? But I always get my statements, I guess you could say, saying, okay, this is your hire date. This is when you're going to retire. So it's nice to see, I'm going to be May 22nd, 2042 is my retirement date, which sounds like a million years from now. But, every year that goes by, it's another year from the possibility of retiring, right? So that's, right. It's been a career being a millwright, with having millwright training and having that diploma. I work basically in that field, right? So it's basically, as a production operator, you get to do all those things. You get to operate conveyors and pumps and motors and stuff like that. So you have a little bit of an experience and knowledge of what you're doing. You're not just pressing a button and hopefully it starts, right? It helps you with troubleshooting and stuff like that. So it's a very, very intense program that I took in college. You kind of did a little bit of everything from math to welding to working hands-on with stuff, right? So it was intense, but it made you learn a little bit of everything real fast, which got me an apprenticeship right away. So it was one of the better programs to take, especially from being in a mining industry city like Sudbury, right? So I enjoyed it, and it got me where I am today. So yeah.
So when you said earlier that this was the career for you from day one? Is day one going back, like, is this in your blood from being from Sudbury? Or is this something that as you got older and became an adult, you were like, hey, I think this looks like a good path for me? How did that come about?
Well, I started working back when I was, I think it was 17, 18 years old. I started working my first ever real job. I ended up working at our biggest mining company in Sudbury, which is Vale, used to be called Inco. I was working as a laborer for a company called Auburn, and we were basically in charge of destructing the old furnace that they had and rebuilding it. You start off as a grunt, right? So when you start off, making $15-20 an hour, and you're working for guys like myself now, you're like, wow, those guys got a really good job. They're clean. They're, you know, they're not having to be the guy with the chipper and in the muck and everything else like that, right? So it was kind of one of those things that when you're from Sudbury, there's so many more job opportunities in that field where you kind of just, that's what you do here, right? It's one of those cities that either you work for Glencore or Vale, or you work around them somehow, being a contractor or a distributor, a salesman, or whatever the case may be, right? Sudbury's such a mining industry here that you're somehow involved with the companies one way, shape, or form. If these companies were to disappear tomorrow, I guess you could say, or close their doors, Sudbury would be a very, very sad city, as there'd be a lot of money coming out of this city that wouldn't, that pays from, whatever it might be, from a restaurant open to a golf course, say. If that money's not coming in, and those industries aren't paying money, well, you're going to see a city like Sudbury be very, very financially stressed out, kind of thing. And being kind of on working for a company like Glencore, you're involved with it right from the get-go, right? So it's one of those places that you when you're taking a program like Millwright, you want to end up being in a company like Glencore because of its job security. Having if we close our doors, well, a lot of places are going to close their doors, right? But it starts from us, right? It's our company that kind of pays all these bills for everybody across the board. Not 100%, but a lot of the money that comes out of Sudbury is coming from our mining industry, right? Being the nickel capital of the world, Sudbury, that's what we do here, right? We have mines, we muck it out from underground, and we turn it into gold and silver and nickel and stuff like that, right? So being employed by one of the biggest companies in Sudbury is definitely a benefit here. There is job security here, and you see, with the good benefits, the good pay and stuff like that, there is an end game in the end, right? So it's a stable company. We've been through a few contract negotiations, and we haven't went on strike, knock on wood, since I've started there. So it's a great place to work. At this point, I couldn't see myself going anywhere else working full time that would pay as much as this company does, right? So it was a proud moment in my life when I got hired there, and it was my goal when I first started my program in college, right? So yeah, I take it as it is, and it was a godsend getting hired here.
So you're from Sudbury, and you have basically, as you're growing and evolving, you're getting into this field, and it's a very blue collar, from my perspective, very blue collar field. And you're in this world. And for me, all of a sudden I see that you start going into and spinning off into something a lot more, for lack of a better word, a lot more glamorous, quote unquote. And suddenly you're becoming an actor, a producer, you have your own production company. And I don't feel like that just happened out of thin air. How did all that wind up happening for you?
Well, how it all officially or actually started happening was in the summer of 2019. The show Letterkenny, which is one of the biggest shows in Canada for a TV series or comedy TV series. They were they were doing their filming, which they do all entirely in Sudbury, at our hockey rinks, out at the farms, out in the outskirts of Sudbury. And they were looking for a hockey player, or hockey players, I guess you could say. And a friend of mine, his cousin was a casting director for the company that hires for Letterkenny. And he was a good friend of mine, and I actually got him playing junior A hockey back in the day. So we've always we've been friends for well over 20 years. So when they were looking for somebody, he immediately called me and asked me if I wanted to take part in that. I was right away. I was like, absolutely. Let me know what to do. Let me know where I sign up. So the casting director, Ashley Keaton, she's from Sudbury as well. She contacted me, let me know what the situation was, what I had to do to, secure my spot. And I was excited. I was like, I'm going to be on the show playing hockey, which I love hockey. I love the show. I love everything about it. Right. So it was like, absolutely, I'm in. Let me know. So I ended up getting the call date, and it was in August of that year. They were filming season 8, which was the season which the National Hockey Championship in the show was filming. So next thing you know, I got my call date, I got my call sheet, whatever, and okay, you got to show up at Caperall Arena on this date at this time, and we'll let you know from there. So next thing you know, I'm walking into the arena, which I grew up playing hockey, and when I was like 15 years old, we used to practice there every Tuesday night. So it was like, this is my old hockey arena, this is my old stomping grounds, and now all of a sudden I'm going to be on this hit TV show as a hockey player, background hockey player, right? So now I walk into the studio or walk into the arena, and I'm on a set of a TV show basically, and everybody's unfamiliar to me. I don't know anybody. They're all from they're the film industry. A lot of them are from Toronto, right? So a lot of these people, they just come up to Sudbury to film, and they're not really technically from Sudbury, especially all the actors. They're all from all over the world, right? And next thing you know, I'm walking in the dressing room, I'm getting my gear, they're giving me my helmet, my gloves and everything, and they're like, okay, this is what you're gonna do, this is what's gonna happen, and you'll be on the ice when we call you. So it wasn't like, okay, you go on the ice from 8 till 9. It was like, when your scene is going to be filming, we'll get you out of the dressing room and come on board. So next thing you know, I'm in the dressing room, I geared up, ready to go, and I ended up seeing the creator, writer, and main actor Jared Keeso. He was actually going out for a cigarette, and I'm like, I want to go out too. Like, I wanted to go for a cigarette too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go out and talk to him. And we ended up having a good conversation. It was like just like another buddy of mine. He's basically the same age as me, and we end up kind of talking about the show and talking about where he was from, kind of like we were buddies, right? Like, I've known him for years and years, just because he's from a small town. He played hockey growing up and stuff like that. So it was exciting to get to talk to him about stuff and kind of his ideas of what they're going to do with the show going forward. So next thing you know, I'm on the ice as a centerman on Team Quebec, playing against his team. And the way the scene went out, and the show, I don't want to be a spoiler or anything, but the show has been that episode and that season's been out for a couple of years now, so it's not like it's a secret. But that show and that episode ended up being kind of the pivotal part of that season, right? So I ended up on Team Quebec, and my left winger, he ended up getting 5 goals. We're leading in the national senior men's hockey championship, and we go into the third period, and Shorzy, which is played by Jared Keeso, he ends up two-handing him, and he gets taken off the ice, and it's like a whole big thing, right? So I was like, this is so cool. Like, the the stunt coordinator on the show, he was telling us he was on the show. He did the movie Goon and stuff like that. So you're starting to work with people that have been in this industry for years and years, and they've been on hit TV shows and hit movies basically. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It was just such an awesome way to enter the industry, being a hockey player, which I grew up playing, but being on a show that was one of my favorite shows, right? So it was pretty wild. It was pretty cool experience. And then when the show came out on Christmas Day of that year of 2019, I got to watch it, and it was like nothing I expected. It was totally surreal to me. It was like, wow, as if this is how the show, like, you know, you're filming it and you don't know how that's going to come out, right? You're just playing hockey basically, and you're involved in the show, but you don't know how they're going to edit it and everything else. And it ended up being really cool. It was such a wicked part of the show, such an awesome experience to be part of that pivotal scenes for that season, right? So I fell in love with it right away. I was definitely interested in the film industry right from there. And it was like, how do I get in to be, you know, to do more? How do I, you know, be part of different movies and stuff like that? And to fast forward a little bit, Sudbury in Northern Ontario is they have a fund called the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, which basically they film, or they give grant money to production companies and films that are going to film up here to kind of generate more jobs and employment up here for Northern Ontario people, but for Northern Ontario films and TV. So when I started getting kind of looking into that, it was like, wow, there's opportunities here that I could create for myself. But while I'm doing that, I could be a part of movies as well. So I ended up, you know, they film movies here, so there's opportunities to be in those movies, right? So you got to kind of line yourself up with those opportunities as well. So that's how I ended up being part of Flee the Light. Delia's Gone, which was filmed in Sudbury and North Bay. North Bay is about an hour away from here. The next thing you know, I'm on the set of Delia's Gone, which is Marissa Tomei is the main actress in it. And I don't know if you know who Marissa Tomei is. I'm sure everybody does. She's
definitely do.
Yeah, she's an Oscar winning actress. She's one of my favorites of all time. She's gorgeous, but she's also a talented actress. She's been in quite a bit of movies that are my favorites, right? She was in The Wrestler a couple years ago, and she's such an awesome actress. But I got to be part of that movie with her, right? I ended up being a police officer in the show, so it was cool and so was she. So I ended up a police officer for the same county department as her. So it was kind of cool. Of all of a sudden now I'm going to be in a movie that she's in, right? So that you know, that makes you really a little bit more interested. There was actor Stephen James, who's one of the biggest actors in Canada. He's been in all kinds of movies, and Travis Fimmel, who's been in a bunch of stuff too. Paul Walter Hazer, who's been in a bunch of movies. So I already knew I was going to be in the movie, and then all of a sudden they released who the main actors were, and it was like, wow, that's awesome. I'm excited. I'm even more pumped up to be in this movie now too, right? So it was. I don't just, you know, show up and be on sets of movies. I do my research. I want to see who the director is, who the producers are and stuff like that. And Robert Boudreau, who ended up being the director of that movie, he's done a couple movies with Ethan Hawke. So it was really awesome to be part of movies with directors and actresses and actors who are, you know, A-list celebrities as far as I'm concerned. So it's broadened my horizon, I guess you could say. But Sudbury in Northern Ontario is starting to film some really high-end movies, and it's just amazing to be part of them.
So a couple things. First of all, I think your story really speaks to how one opportunity, just one thing, one action that you did, like really changed your life and really almost kind of like not only set off a new career, but I feel like a new passion because you wound up saying, I feel like I could have like my own production company. And I've learned so much just from being a part of these projects. And it really opens up the mind a little bit. And I think it just really speaks to how quickly life can really change and how our passion can really change. And before I let you really respond to that, I have been looking at your hockey stats here, and I want to ask, is it true? Am I reading this right? That you had 20 goals and 23 assists in 40 games played in the 99-2000 season? Is that true?
Uh, Absolutely, it was. I think I had about 100 points total in the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. I played 3.5 years. I played a couple years up in Espanola, and I ended up finishing for playing for the Northern Ontario or Northern Wolves that they're called. They're basically the affiliate for the Sudbury Wolves, which is Ontario Hockey League. Yeah, so I played some competitive hockey back in my day. That's for sure.
I don't care what league or what level this is. That these are some like phenomenal seasons you had. So you're like really good.
I would. I don't know. I was a pretty decent hockey player, I guess you could say. I'm not going to toot my own horn and say I was the best player around. There's a lot of good hockey players around in Sudbury, and I got to play with a lot of them. But yeah, I put up some numbers. I put up some good stats in my day. I think I was top 10 in the scoring a couple of years in a couple different leagues. So yeah, I got to showcase my talents back in the day. That's for sure.
Yeah, when I was preparing for this episode, that was something I looked at out of all the things on your link tree. I was like, whoa, I really have to ask him about some of these numbers because I mean, I can barely ice skate. I haven't ice skated in like 20 years, which I hate saying and admitting because I love ice skating, but you're like clearly on some other universe. Like you're, scoring goals and points left and right. And wow, just amazing.
What's pretty cool about it is I still play hockey once a week in the wintertime, and I have the opportunity to play with my father and my grandfather. Actually, we all play on a line together on it's a Sunday morning hockey around here, so it's pretty cool to be to have that. My genes are obviously pretty good because my grandfather's still playing at, I think he's 7. How old is he now? No, he's 83 now. My dad's 63. So it's in my blood, it's in my genes, right? So I'm hoping to play. If I could still walk at the age of 80, I'll be happy. But if I could still be playing hockey like him, that'd be awesome. So I cherish that I still get to do that on a weekly basis in the wintertime, and I'll continue to do that until I can't, I guess you could say.
Well, that's pretty amazing because I've been a hockey fan for most of my life, but never really thought about the fact that, boy, maybe I should have tried playing until I got well into adulthood. I think the farthest I've gone is playing NHL 21, 19, 20, et cetera, et cetera. I create my player and I go. So that's about the extent for me, unfortunately. But that's really cool.
Well, Sudbury being a mining industry and stuff like that, it's also a hockey. It's a hockey town for sure. Everybody that I grew up with, obviously, a lot of my friends and stuff, but we all played hockey for our whole lives, right? So it was kind of one of those things, everybody played hockey back in the day in one way, shape, or form, right? So I had the opportunity to play since I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I played my whole life. I played AAA leading up to my junior hockey career, I guess you could say. So yeah, it was in my blood, I guess. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to play competitive throughout my life, and still able to lace them up once a week is something that I really cherish, I guess. And I couldn't see myself not playing hockey now, right?
Well, speaking of lacing them up and doing stuff that you didn't think you'd do, although you didn't really say that, but I'm trying to segue. Let's just say, speaking of lacing them up, how about that? Uh, Talk a little bit about when it hit you that you said, okay, I think I'm going to start my own production company. Like, what moment did you have where you were like, okay, I've learned some stuff, I've been in some projects, and I could see me actually doing this for real?
Well, like being a part of and seeing that films are going to be in Sudbury and that they're not going anywhere with the grant money and stuff like that, it was kind of opened up my eyes. And I have friends that have been part of the Heritage Fund and stuff like that. But when the movie Resident Evil, which is one of the biggest movie franchise based on a video game in the world, it's a $1 billion franchise. When that movie was announced to be part of that, it was going to be filmed in Sudbury, it was like, wow, Sudbury can do this, right? You don't have to be filming movies in Hollywood anymore. You could film them anywhere with the way of technology and special effects and stuff like that. Or I started looking into, there's money that I could get to start this company. You obviously have to put in your own money and put in your own stuff as well. But when I started looking at it, it was like, hey, well, I want to film a TV series. And I started kind of, doing the production for it, writing for it, started to get a storyboard and stuff like that. It was like, well, I could film this all on my own money, but in the end, I could maybe perhaps get funding for this and make it professional to the point where, instead of just a webisode, I could turn this into a TV series that might get picked up by a big production studio where I could get, the proper people to film this movie and to make it, bring it to the next step. It's just been one of those things, especially with COVID in the last year. A lot of things have changed, especially in the film industry, even from doing auditions and acting and stuff like that. It's got to the point where it's like anybody could audition for any movie anywhere, right? I could do all my stuff right here with my own equipment. So it got to the point where it was like, you know what, I'm going to start making my own TV series, which I've been working on. And it was like, well, what can I do with this TV series? What's the next step? Well, it's, you got to film it, you got to make it into something, but at some point you're going to need funding to bring it to that next level. And that's kind of where I started seeing things, as I'm looking into the grant money and into angel investors and stuff like that, where it's like, you know what, I've got a great idea here. I've got a great concept. I've got the people on board that I need to at this point where I could turn this into something special. And if you look at shows like Letterkenny itself and Trailer Park Boys, which is another huge show in Canada, all filmed in Canada, it all started with a handheld camcorder, right? Which is basically how I started, with a $1,000 or whatever, five to $1,000 video camera that I purchased. It was like, well, I could start doing this, kind of ghetto, not ghetto, but kind of, make it look like it's done unprofessionally, but done professionally with professional people, right? It's got to the point now, it's like, okay, well, I've got people on board. I've got this company going, and to make a show or make anything basically that's going to be, picked up by a studio or Netflix or whoever it might be, you kind of got to do it owning your own production studio company. That's where I came up with the concept of Hollywood North Productionz. Sudbury's becoming one of those places that you could consider it, it's going to be one of those places. If you could film a movie like Resident Evil, well, what's stopping anybody from doing any show here? So I kind of just came up with the idea of Hollywood North Productionz with a Z, that I'm going to take that company and create shows and create a movie and create characters under that company name. So that's where basically that company started. And I started that a little bit over a year ago. I got my business license and stuff like that, so I could start doing things under that corporation kind of thing. So now I've got Hollywood North Productionz, which has the TV show The Bottom of the Lake. So that's kind of how you have to do it. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to make a show, and you have to do it with a production company title, right? So that's basically where that came from. And now I could start doing anything I want. If I want to do, a podcast or something, well, I'm going to do it as whatever, the North Nickel Report. I'm going to do it under the company name Hollywood North Productionz. So that's kind of how that kind of came into play.
Interesting. So is the process of getting a business license, especially for you, was it really involved? How was that process?
Well, to get a business license in Ontario, it's fairly cheap to do. It's not even $100 to put your name down as, we'll just say Marynuk Incorporated. That's how I started it. And then under Marynuk Incorporated, well, what is your company? Well, it's in the film industry or the entertainment industry. Anybody could go out, anybody could get a business license. It's what you do with it next, right? So if you want to get a business, if you want to get a business under that, well, now you have to get a business plan, get yourself a lawyer, get yourself all these things to line up under there so that you're a legitimate business. So when you're doing stuff, you got to get insurance and whatnot. You have a company name that you're under, right? When I get to the point where, say, this TV show got picked up, well, I got to sign a contract with somebody or along those lines. Well, they want to see that you're a professional entity, right? That you actually, have insurance, you're an actual legitimate company. So I've reached out and I've got myself a lawyer. I've got myself some insurance and whatnot. So it's a process, right? Anybody could get a business license, but it's what you do with that business license, right? When you want to start making money, you got to get a bank account open. You got to get yourself, start paying taxes and whatnot. So it's not just, buy a business license. It's what you do under that business license and that sole proprietorship. So yeah, it's a process. It takes money to make money, just like anything else, right? But at least I'm to the point where I could, pitch my stuff eventually professionally, and I look like a professional person with a professional company, which I am, right?
So now that you have your license and you have your company established, what projects are you working on? What's going on with you, either in the past or currently?
Well, right now I'm still in the acting industry, or in the acting process. I'm still on almost a daily basis. I'm doing auditions, self-tape auditions to be an actor in movies that are filming up in Northern Ontario and Toronto. I've submitted for roles in Los Angeles and Hollywood that doing movies. It's not the easiest industry to crack, but it takes time, right? Not, every big actor started somewhere, right? They have to start off with doing some movies. So I'm still doing that, but I'm also working on a few projects of my own under Hollywood North Productionz. I've started a TV series, which I'm going to be doing the writing for. I will be eventually acting as one of the main actors in it. It's going to be called The Bottom of the Lake, which is going to be a TV series, which is kind of sort of the character that I played in Letterkenny. So the character I played in Letterkenny was number 64, and I created a name for him. And basically, I'm going to create a show around this guy and his life as a, Northern Ontario or Northern Quebec, I guess you could say, actor. So it's going to be a character that I played in a show, but I'm creating its own show based upon him, which is kind of based loosely on my life. So it's one of those things that it's tricky because I'm playing a French guy from Quebec, and I'm trying to do it filming so it looks like that I'm filming in Quebec, which is a character on a main TV show, which I own myself because it's me that played that character, right? So that TV series has been I've been working on that for probably 6 months now. I'm on my 4th episode of writing. I filmed 2 episodes entirely. But now it's getting to the point where I need to get people involved. I can't film everything myself and do everything solely by myself. But the problem I'm encountering right now is with COVID. Ontario's under a strict lockdown right now, so you can't just go out and start filming stuff with your buddies and get people aboard unless you start getting like COVID protocols and stuff, which is going to cost big money, right? So I'm trying to do it around the lockdown and the COVID restrictions as best as I can. Eventually when stuff gets a little bit looser and the lockdown restrictions kind of start going away, I'll be able to do a little bit more. But it gives me the opportunity to work behind the scenes stuff, working on getting connections and networking with people, learning the industry, learning how to, start applying for grants and stuff like that. So when I get to that point, I'm hoping to, get a couple $100,000, which I'm working on right now. And if I get to that point, well, the sky's the limit. Then if I have money to do it, I could get the right people on board. And then next thing you know, it's a hit TV show on YouTube. And then we go from there. So that's one thing I'm working on. I'm working on a feature film as well. It's going to be based upon a character from Sudbury. It's going to be basically a documentary about the city that I was born in, and kind of showcasing the influencers around Sudbury, the great people that have came out of Sudbury, from, actors, entertainers, musicians, and sports people around town. So I've been trying to network with them as well. But like I said, the COVID restrictions have been tough. So it's a lot of stuff. You can't go meet one-on-one. You can't go and have coffee with somebody anymore. So you got to do a lot of stuff on Zoom, phone calls, FaceTime, whatever it may be. But the restrictions have just been awful around here. So it's hard to do stuff. So that just, when I don't have time to be doing that stuff, I work on other stuff that I can be, right. Learning the industry, reading books and stuff like that about the industry. So it's getting to the point where I'm learning a lot of stuff too that I got to learn, right? I never went to school. I never went to film school. So I'm kind of trying to catch up with that stuff. But anything that you want to learn, you could learn for free online, right? I bought a few books about the film industry and stuff like that as well. And I'm actually looking into taking a production to be a producer through the Toronto Film School. When I get a little bit more time, I'm hoping to do that as well, which will give me some more credentials and stuff like that too. So I'm working on a lot of things. It's a tough business to crack, but all I have is time, right? With my full-time job being a production operator, I have days off that I could work on stuff. So that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to learn as much as I can, trying to film as much as I can, and see where it takes me.
You actually answered something I was about to ask you, which is, how does a person, so I went to, university, I studied broadcast production, so I have that background, but there's so many people today wanting to do exactly what you're doing and doing all kinds of other things, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube, wherever the video content might be. And it's like, if you're really serious like you, and you just kind of outlined it a little bit, maybe you'll have a little more to add, but how does a person who develops that passion like you have, how do they learn? How do they get up to the point where they're on a level that they can sell themselves and show that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I have knowledge about, how a camera works, how audio is produced, how to edit, etc., etc. There's just so much that you need to know if you truly are serious. And if you have anything else to add to that, that would be great for anybody out there listening who has a similar passion and certainly a similar situation.
Well, that's a great question, and I've been asked it a few times. Like what kind of recommendations or 2 cents I could give to anybody. It's learn the business, right? It's a bit like the mining industry. I've learned everything about the mining industry. I know how everything works in the business, from being a maintenance worker to, how the mods commodities trade and stuff. Well, I learned that business. I've went to school for it and stuff. Well, this industry is a totally different new thing to me, right? It's something that not everybody in Sudbury, took school and stuff. So it's like, well, how do I learn to get to that next step? And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go online. I'm going to find a book about it, or I'll find a Facebook group or page, or whatever the case may be. It's okay. If I want to learn it, I'm going to find it with the internet. Like there's no ending to the information that's out there for free. So it's kind of like I'm trying to, school myself by taking the information that's out there right now. So it's, even for acting, it's like, okay, well, how do I get to the next step as an actor? Well, I've connected with Hollywood acting coaches and talent coaches, and I'm looking to get a talent agent and stuff like that. It's like, well, how do I do that? Well, I go online and I research. You could ask Google anything, and Google will tell you basically how to go to that next step, right? So if you're willing to learn something, it's not hard to do it. You just need to go and learn where to go find that information. So that's what I've been doing is, if want to get to the next step, okay, well, I want to film something. Well, how do I get that movie into that, or that TV series into the hands of the right people? Well, you go out and research and find it, right? So it's not something that I'm going to say, oh, I'm an expert. I'm a famous film production company right now. Well, no, everybody starts from somewhere, right? So I'm taking the opportunity with this COVID lockdowns and stuff like that to educate myself and learn more about the industry step by step. And it's one of those industries that you could probably keep learning and finding information about it nonstop. So it's tough. It's a whole new industry for me in the last 2 years, 3 years that I've been learning, right? So now I'm learning the ins and outs of it as much as I can, to the point where it's like, what, people want to see if you have that experience, or if you have that diploma on the wall. And I'm looking into actually taking a program at the Toronto Film School and going to that next step, right? Learning from the professionals. It's got to the point where all that free information's out there, but you want to get yourself educated professionally, where you take it seriously and people will take you seriously because you've actually got that diploma. So it's a learning experience, right? It's a whole different world for me. It's a whole different world for people in Sudbury and Northern Ontario. But when people start looking, it's like, wow, they're giving away all this money to produce movies here and to start companies. It's like, I want to get a piece of that money, So how do I get that to that next step of my company, right? I think I'm doing the right things to slowly, integrate myself into that business to the point where, not saying that I'd ever quit my job to do this, but if the opportunity came and I couldn't resist it, well, you never know what could take where this world takes you these days, right? So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. I'm trying to educate myself. I'm trying to get to the point where I could go to that next step and see where it takes me. You never know.
So what is your dream with this whole project and just this whole new world that you're in? What ultimately do you want to accomplish?
I'd like to be able to film feature film here in Sudbury and be a producer, be an actor in the movie as well. But there's a lot of movies where I have now connected with the right people, where I could find scripts now that are being, the Hollywood people, they go through millions of scripts yearly. Well, I've now connected with people that are giving me their scripts that I'm reading their scripts. I'm looking, I want to get to the point where I want to be able to produce my own movie right up in here in Sudbury. And my main goal is I want to open up a film production studio here in Sudbury, where we could do everything right in town, right? The opportunities here, the people are here. It's just a matter of of getting yourself to that next level, right? But my main goal is to be able to produce a feature film that maybe, you know, Netflix picks up, or, you know, maybe get into a a a film festival, or, you know, get picked up by anybody, right? I'm not hoping to do my first movie and it ends up being a blockbuster hit or anything, but you got to start somewhere, and you never know, right? So it's connecting with people and seeing where it takes me. But yeah, I'd love to open up a film production studio here in Sudbury, where we could start doing all this stuff and produce movies, make some movies up here.
Well, I know currently you have some of your work online. Where can people find your work? And two-part question: if anybody out there wants to collaborate or learn more, how can they do that?
You could find me anywhere, Darren W Marynuk. You could find me online. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on everything. Hollywood North Productionz on Instagram. I got some of my stuff on YouTube. I haven't released anything of my finished products yet, because I'm kind of waiting to do it strategically. I've got a plan. I've kind of got an idea of what I want to do. I want to align it with a few things to get to the point where I can release everything on the right platforms. With COVID, it's been a little bit tough, because one of my cinematographers, I've been trying to connect with him to do a couple to finish filming what I'm working on, but I can't because of the COVID restrictions, right? So it's tough. It's been hard with COVID and stuff. But yeah, you could connect with me online, Instagram. You could find me, Hollywood North Productionz. Type it in. You could find my link tree, Hollywood North Pro, and yeah, shout out to me. Give me a message, DM me anytime, and if you got any ideas or you want to collaborate, I'm always ears. Oh, my ears are always open to new projects, and I don't deny anybody a conversation. That's for sure. You know, I'm connecting with people in the industry as well. So it's one of those things that I love, collaborating with people, and you never know where it's going to take you.
And I know somewhere along the line, people can also find that awesome clip that you shared with me of I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, the fake Morgan Freeman voiceover, which I actually thought that video was very good, very well done.
Well, that was done by a guy in Sudbury named Drone Malone. He's a secret drone artist, but he did that about 6 years ago, and he did it as a promotional thing for Sudbury, but a kind of a promotional thing for him. It's called I Am Sudburian. And it ended up getting, I think, I don't even know what it's at right now, about 300,000 views on YouTube. And it was so well done that I've actually been in contact with a guy that was kind of his mentor in the business, and that's who I'm going to be working with, because I want to start doing stuff with drones and stuff like that. So that's actually one of the guys I'm going to be hoping to work with, Bertrand Productions. He's one of the bigger, you know, content creators, I guess you could say, in Sudbury, and he's a great guy, and he's one of those people that he wants to get to the next level as well too. So, you know, working with him and working on our ideas, we could get to that next level. And yeah, I want to promote Sudbury. I want to bring up movies here. I want to make the industry up here as big as possible, any way I can do it, right? And without having to move to Hollywood or whatever it might be, I could start doing a lot of this stuff right in my backyard. So you never know. It's a crazy industry, and I'm hoping to excel in it and take it step by step.
Well, first of all, let me just say drones are a ton of fun until you crash them like as many times as I have, and you can't get it calibrated and can't fly it anymore. So I'm
been there, done that.
Yeah, I have pretty much demolished my very first drone, so I need to get a new one. They're so much fun, and I just wanted to throw that in there because it wasn't too long ago that I completely destroyed my drone and can no longer use it, really. I don't think so. I've tried like gorilla gluing it back together a few times, and I think it's beyond repair. So
I broke mine too, so don't worry about it. I bought one for my kid, and it was just kind of one of those things that he wanted it. He was 6 at the time, and it was like, let's get a drone. And I was just as excited leaving Princess Auto. He's all excited. I said, I'm just as excited as you are, man. Let's get home and we'll get this thing going. And next thing you know, I got up in the air and I crashed it and broke it and stuff. It's like, man, I got to get somebody to operate one of those for me so I can make some movies out of it, right? So there's professionals in the industry that they're professionals for a reason. I won't say I'm a professional in all things movie, that's for sure, or the film industry. So I'm just, hey, the more things I can film with, the better. I just find drones are a really, really awesome way to film the TV series that I'm working on, to kind of give it that bird's eye view of the whole situation.
No, that's really great. And I think that's an important. I think in general you dropped a lot of really important tidbits and information for people wanting to start up. And I hope that the audience got a lot out of listening to you talk about your journey, because it's amazing. You just never know. You could be, production minor, but then all of a sudden you're on the set of a well-known show and it could turn into a passion. And you just never know where life is going to take you. So do you have any...
You never know until you try.
Exactly. Do you have any parting words of wisdom before we go?
No, just the heart wants what the heart wants. The heart knows what it knows. Kind of one of those things. You just, if you're passionate about it, if it makes you happy, then do it. Don't tell, because a lot of people tell me, oh, you can't be this. You're not going to be an actor and this and that. It's like, if I listen to those people, I wouldn't have done any movies so far. So I do what makes me happy, what's passionate in my heart. So, do what makes you happy in life.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, Darren Marynuk, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and didn't mean to make you nervous about my schedule today. I know things got kind of crazy on my end, but it came to a nice, calm resolution with this episode, and I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having me, and hope to connect with you down the line. And if anybody wants to connect with me, hopefully you could find me, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Hey, anytime. So I am Mark Schmidt, and this was Darren Marynuk of Hollywood North Productionz, and this was Mark My Words. So have a great day, everybody, and I'll be back with a new episode very soon. So bye for now.
Take care.